A two-time participant in Dancing with Our Stars, and what a treat tonight because, well, we get two personalities. It's the King of Queens, Zeb Metzler, as well as Mimi Jackson. Welcome to the DWOS Diaries.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to have you, and great to have both of you. I guess I should say both Zeb and Mimi. This is the quarantine edition of both of you, I guess.
Yes, it is. It was one of those things where I wanted to make sure I looked nice, but I just couldn't bring myself to completely shave. So I thought, well, hey, a little bit of both worlds tonight.
We love it. We love it. So we're going to begin your story with Dancing with Our Stars 2015. You're in the audience, and you bought raffle tickets, and raffle numbers are being picked for a very special raffle. You end up being the winner. So let us know what you won and what you were feeling or thinking when your number was actually picked.
Well, so there was a little bit of backstory with this. Leading up to it, because I was helping another contestant, that year. And so that individual was wanting me to get the Packer tickets or something of that nature. But of course, I thought, hell, we've met people now that work for the Packers, so we can get tickets anytime we want to. So I, of course, had to choose the Polka with Peta, because when else was I going to have a chance to do a polka with Peta?
Absolutely. And there's a photo of that. And walk us through that polka. Does she know what she needed to do to polka? Are you having to lead her? Take us through that moment.
Yeah, well, oh my God, I'm looking at this picture and oh my God, it's like 40 pounds heavier. Yikes. But now remember, even though I am living in Wisconsin, not from Wisconsin, but living in Wisconsin for the better part of a decade, I had never polka before in my life. So I walked up to her and I said, okay, would you like to lead or would you like me to? And she just starts laughing and she goes, well, I think we pretty much just kind of jump around a lot, don't we? And I said, let's go with that. So we did our thing, and apparently it must have looked good because everybody kept asking me afterwards if we'd rehearsed it, and I just kept laughing because I thought I had no idea what I was doing. And at one point I thought, hey, let's just make the focus on her, so let's just do some twirls and swirls with her, and the crowd loved it, and it was something I'll never forget.
Absolutely. And we'll revisit this topic at the end of our diary because somehow lightning struck twice. But
it did.
So you're at that event, you get that experience, and now it's on to the 2016 campaign. When did you know that you wanted to take part in Dancing with Our Stars?
I knew the night that I danced with Peta.
It was right then and there.
It was right then and there. I had been fortunate enough to be a part of some of the rehearsals for the contestants that year and kind of see the behind the scenes things happening and unfolding. And it was another part of performance for me that I've never been able to kind of venture down that road. And so seeing it all come together that night and being on that floor with Peta, I thought, you know what, if he asks, I'm totally in. And I believe it was that night that you actually even asked me.
I think so, yes.
And I was thrilled. I was so excited to live my Dancing with the Stars fantasy that next year, pretty much. So.
And you were paired up with Mina Whitty. So
walk
through meeting with her and deciding the songs and dances that you guys were going to be performing for that event.
Sure. So I'd gotten a chance to kind of meet her again with the previous year, and between the 2015 and 2016 seasons, if you will, I started doing just a little bit of dancing with her at the studio just to kind of get my feet wet with some different things. And so it was pretty easy for us, I think, to decide on the types of dances. We wanted high energy, fun, and as well as something kind of theatrical. So that's why we went with the cha-cha and the tango. And again, with the tango, we wanted to be really, really theatrical. So that's why I went with Jessie J's Masterpiece. It was very fitting for me with my journey just through life and kind of coming back to the theater a little bit. And so we wanted to do a lot of really eye-catching things. And so I'm not sure why, but I feel like that song, we decided that it was best for her feet to not be on the ground hardly ever, because we just did lift after lift after lift, and it was so much fun. But it definitely, put me to the test, that's for sure. But it was so much fun to start the night off. I think we were the last couple, second to last couple, something like that. Actually, the last couple, I believe, because we closed the last half with our cha-cha. And it was just so much fun to do that "Good to Be Alive" song with the cha-cha and get the crowd going and just kind of take it home. So it was a lot of fun.
Tell me about the concept for the Mirror Ball Bash, how that all came to be about.
Yeah, so again, 2015, that was the very first Mirror Ball Bash. Fundraising, again, the year prior to my start with it. That was something that we thought, if this is something nobody else is going to do, a drag show. So that's where we brought that into it. And it kind of took on a life of its own throughout the years. That first year, I still will never forget us doing the Mirror Ball Bash at the Watering Hole in Green Bay on Velf Avenue. And of all places, a sports bar that's got, indoor volleyball courts and people who have never seen a drag queen before. And we made that place just shine. And ever since that very first show, it just took off. And yep, there we are, me and Kendra, the two original Mirror Ball queens. That was our second years at the, I think that was
is that year two?
That's year. Actually, no. That's year one. That is year one.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. That's at the Watering Hole. That's year one with me and Kendra. But yeah, we found some amazing establishments throughout the years. Doing that 4 times in a row. Then for myself the second year, then Billy Joe Bannock, and then again for the All-Star year. So doing that 4 years back to back. And just to see the love and support, not only for the Red Cross, but for the art of drag, that Northeast Wisconsin came out and stepped up. And it was heartwarming each year to see the response and to see just people clamoring for this event. They were always asking, when's the next one? When's the next one? So it's been quite the journey.
We'll get to in a moment what your day is like on the day of one of these shows, but let's take a step back and just what all goes into the coordination of one of these types of shows. Who are you reaching out to, and just kind of walk us through the event planning perspective of putting together the Mirror Ball.
Oh, sure. It all starts with finding the right venue. So we were blessed each year to have different venues take us on. We had the Watering Hole the first year, and then we moved on to Vandervest, Harley-Davidson, and then we had Gather on Broadway, and then finally the Green Bay Distillery. So just trying to find event spaces that were, first of all, large enough to hold the audience that we were going to be drawing in, as well as had some decent dressing room space for all the entertainers. So finding the venue, locating the DJ, which again, the first couple of years, actually, I'm trying to think, every single year, except the very last year, we had the same DJ for the main event, DJ Sean. So he was really great to work with. Again, he knew how to turn out a party. And from there, then once you get the logistics done, it's really the fun part. So it's a matter of me calling on some of the best entertainers that I know and have learned from over the years from all over the state, including Upper Michigan, or Lower Michigan, rather, I should say. And just kind of putting together, with different themes and trying to find the right songs. Each year we tried to do something a little bit different and bring in, something new and fresh to it. And we kept growing each year as well with the number of entertainers. So I think by the All-Star year, they didn't know what they were in for. So.
And certainly the crowds continued to get larger and larger each of the years. As you talked about, you really built up the momentum. So now that you talked about how it is to plan one of those events, take us through your day. Mimi Jackson, or that transformation from Zeb Metzler to Mimi Jackson on event day. How early is that starting, and what is all the prep work that you need to do?
Oh, goodness. Most of these types of shows, we have like an 8 o'clock go showtime. So it's normally, waking up in the morning, and by mid-morning, I'm making sure everything is packed up, all the costumes, wigs, makeup, everything like that. I'm shaved and showered, and I am to the event space by around noon that day to make sure things are set up and to help finish getting things set up, set in place, making sure the dressing room's ready as some of the entertainers start arriving from out of town, and by doing some last minute rehearsals, sound checks, And then by 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's full force up in the dressing room, getting all the makeup on and making that transformation happen so that I can be ready to meet and greet people once they start arriving anywhere between 6 and 7 o'clock, depending on when the show is starting. So it's a full day event.
I would say it was, and you guys always did a great job. The Queens looked great and were phenomenal performers. The singing that some would do, obviously some lip sync, but then was it you that sang a song one time, or a few of them have sang?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yes, yes. I sang at let me
The
think.
Gather one, was that?
The Gather one, and I feel like I did something at the Distillery. I don't remember, but yes, Billy Joe and I actually both sang. I sang a solo, and then her and I did a duet together as well. So that's something that I've always tried to do in a lot of my shows, is to try and bring in some live singing. I did sing live at my year as well at Harley Davidson, because I did Once Upon a Time from Brooklyn, the musical. So yeah, I've done a few different live numbers throughout the years.
So I know that you touched on a little bit before. Yes, the aerial show that
Yes,
was
there it is.
one of your dances from 2016. So how are you feeling going into the day of that event?
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, it was cold. It's always cold out when these events happen. God bless Wisconsin. But I just remember being so excited and just ready. I'm somebody who grew up on the stage and theater. So, you know, performance and show days are the days that I live for. And it's just the excitement builds, you know. It doesn't, you don't do a lot of eating. So you want to make sure that you're looking your best in your costumes. So again, it's a matter of just kind of prepping, getting all your stuff together, getting there early, kind of walking the space, doing some warm-ups, hair and makeup, costumes, and just waiting for that overture to start. And when it does, I mean, it's just, and hearing that crowd roar, it gets your blood pumping, and you're ready to go.
As you mentioned, you had attended 2015, which was in the
Right.
lower ballroom at the KI
Mm-hmm.
Convention Center. You performed then in 2016, which was the first year the event took place in the new grand ballroom upstairs. What did you think about that space?
Oh my God, it was huge. I just remember too, walking from the dressing room back to the stage, because that opening number for Mina and I, she was literally on my shoulders. And so I'm walking from all the way back. I felt like I was walking a mile with this girl up on my shoulders to the middle of the dance floor to start the numbers. So I remember it being very, very spacious, but it was beautiful.
I would agree. Of all the venues that we ran, that was my favorite. It was a traditional ballroom and
Right.
an awesome space, and you could hear the crowd a lot more and whatnot. So how are you feeling then? You get through your two performances. Yep, you did close the show. And how are you feeling once all that is done?
Feeling on cloud nine, feeling like a rock star, very happy, very proud. You know, again, that was my ballroom fantasy coming true. So it was just an amazing experience, and there was nothing else like it.
That's awesome. So a couple of years later, you hear that 2018 is going to be an all-star event, the 10th anniversary, but also the finale. So what were your thoughts when you heard that, and how long did it take you to decide that you wanted to be a part of it?
Of course, I was all in from the get-go. The minute I heard about it, I said, hell yes, we are doing this again. And for me, I didn't have to think twice about it. In every aspect, because I knew that going in for the All-Star year, I wanted to do something different than I did my first year, which I think I did. And seeing as how the last 3-4 years of Dance with Our Stars, a lot of people got to know Mimi from the Mirrorball Bash events and things of that nature. So I wanted to go out with a bang, and I wanted to let the diva take to the floor. So and this was again something that was an easy thing to kind of transition to, because I then danced with Michael Woody, Mina's husband, who I had been dancing with here and there throughout the years prior during the Mirrorball Bash fundraisers. I would always find a way to work him in, or my partner at the time, make sure there's always some dancing happening in those shows. So it was just a natural step for me again to say, hey, Michael, let's go big or go home this time. And so he was so excited. He was thrilled.
We'll get more into that routine in just a moment. But the night before the finale, we had a private party at 335 where the cast and crew were able to meet these two. Peta and
Yes.
Maks, of course, you had already met Peta. You danced with her, but this was your first time meeting Maks. What was that experience like, getting to spend a little bit of time with them?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I mean, you always see people on TV and, you know, in their little Instagrams and things that nature, and you always wonder what they're really going to be like in person. And it was just a breath of fresh air to really get to spend some time and talk with them and meet them, and just realize that they're just normal folk like the rest of us. I was really surprised though, because walking up to Maks, he was a little bit shorter than I thought. I'm taller than Maks is, out of heels. So, you know, again, you see him on TV and I think he's just this big, tall guy, which, I mean, he's tall, but he ain't taller than I am. So that was my first thought. I was like, oh, he's short. But handsome as ever. And him and Pete are just the sweetest. They're just the sweetest couple.
They sure are. So you talked about putting together this performance, and walk us through it. Walk us through, you know, all the choreography and everything. I mean, because as someone who was a spectator, to me, this was Broadway-esque. It had that type of quality. So,
Thank you.
you know, take us behind the curtain as to how you put this whole piece together.
Yeah, and again, that's my theater kind of came into play. You know, I wanted this all-star finale year to really be that. I wanted to be kind of a mix of my entire journey. So I knew I wanted to do multiple types of dances. I wanted to do similar dances that I danced with. So I wanted to do part cha-cha, part tango, and I knew I wanted to bring in some element of the theater and the group dancing. So that's where it all came from. And actually the music, a lot of the music was music that, again, played a part through my journey. The opening with Wings from Little Mix, that was something I'd done in one of the Mirrorball shows. Going into Rise, again, Rise was something from one of the Mirrorball shows. And then closing with the Hairspray number, You Can't Stop the Beat, I just thought that was very fitting, because that's, you know, even though it was coming to an end, you can't ever stop that motion of the ocean, if you will. You know, you can't stop that beat that, you know, we are marching to. So I thought it was very apropos to come full circle with that.
And what about costuming for you? So first of all, you mentioned you are tall, and so without heels, flat-footed, how tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
And those heels that you wore that night, how large were they?
Those were 5-inch stilettos.
Oh my gosh! So you're 6'7", maybe pushing 6'8".
Oh yes, with a little bit of extra hair up on top. Yes, definitely.
And so obviously you got the heels, but then what about the costuming that you wore for the number? Walk us through what all that entailed.
Sure. Well, of course, a queen can't walk on the stage without having costume changes. So there was only one slight wardrobe malfunction, and it was, you know, right at the beginning, where the opening outfit I come into was supposed to go from short to long. And as it went long, Michael had pulled a little bit too hard on it, so it kind of split the back a little bit. So it wasn't a big deal. But then that comes off to reveal the big dance costume underneath with all the fringe and the fun colors, which just kind of took off then with all the lights and that part of the song as well. Oh, such great photos. I love it.
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it was something I wanted to make sure that, you know, again, I changed and evolved with the music. You know, I can't just come out and do the same song in the same costume, in my eyes at least. So I wanted to go, like I said, go big or go home, and that's what I went for. So
how long did it take?
Looking at the pictures again.
I know. How long did it take to get the whole piece there with the group and whatnot? Was that a couple of practices, or were you guys able to figure that out relatively quickly?
Oh yeah. I would say we probably only had maybe 6 total practices with that. We had managed to get a lot of the choreography down. Myself and Mina, I think it was Mina and myself that kind of put that together for the group section. And then because all the people that were dancing in the group then were different students of theirs from the ballroom. So they were able to kind of tackle that here and there with them on their own. We sent out some videos, but we only had a handful of rehearsals all together in person. So I was super proud of them. And like I said, it was all about having fun at that point. And I got a lot of good feedback from them saying that they had just as much fun as apparently I did. So that's always good to hear.
And then how did it feel to receive the verbal feedback from Peta and Maks after the performance?
Well, when you hear Peta say, "Oh my God, that gave me life," in her little accent, I mean, I was living, because that's what we aim to do in the drag community, is to give people life, if you will. And Maks even made a little comment about, you know, about me dancing in the heels, and that's something that he could never do, and he was giving me props for that. So the feedback that they had, all three of the judges, were just so wonderful and so encouraging and so gracious. So it was wonderful to hear that from them. It was very validating as a drag entertainer, because that was my largest performance to date, you know, to be performing in front of not only Maks and Peta, but then a crowd of, how many thousand were there?
About 1,300.
1,300, yeah. That's a pretty big crowd for a little old drag queen from, you know, northern Indiana.
Look, Ma, I made it.
Exactly, yes.
And then your job, your work wasn't done. You played a big role in Jody Wire's Last Dance. So first, walk me through, when do you recall first hearing about her wanting to incorporate everybody into that final number?
Oh, goodness. You want me to remember things from years ago? I feel like it was discussed, you know, fairly early on in the planning stages. I think that we didn't really get to it, though, until literally like a week or two before. I feel like it's when we started rehearsing that little number that we did. So it was talked about, I think, for a while, but the actual, oh, hey, let's put this together, kind of came at the end. But we had a lot of fun doing it. And of course, you know, she needed the two tall guys to be there to pick you up at the end. So I'm like, well, I'm being full drag, but that doesn't mean I can't pick your ass up, because we already did it, you know, how many years ago at the Mirrorball Bash show. So it was kind of, you know, again, nice to kind of bookend it. You know, I start off my journey with this picking me up, and I end the journey with, again, picking you up.
Absolutely. It was a surprise to me. I had no idea this was going to take place. And of course, I had no idea where I'm going to go. Lisa Pritzel comes bopping out into the crowd, grabbing me, and everyone's doing a choreographed dance. So I'm like, what the heck do I do? And she led me over by you and Rock, and it was just kind of like, all right, whoa, all right, I'm going up in the air. Try to stay steady. Don't lose me. And you guys, you did a phenomenal job. So that was,
thank you.
That was a fun moment, and a picture that I certainly will cherish for a long, long time.
Absolutely.
So I talked about, and of course, we started this conversation with you doing the polka with Peta, and for this finale, we had another raffle, and among the prizes, a slow dance with Maks and a polka with Peta. And lo and behold, who wins the polka with Peta?
Me, once again. Well, now, again, kind of a funny thing, because I told Maks, I was like, okay, so I danced with your wife last time she was here, so I was determined to get the slow dance with Maks, and had my number been called one before, because the lady who got called right before me took him. I was so mad. I'm like, So of course I thought, well, what the heck? Again, I did it once, let's do it again. So I got to dance with Peta a second time.
Except this time, of course, as Mimi Jackson. So walk us through. I'm sure the two of you are sharing some words as you're doing the polka here. So I mean, give me two things. One, what are you guys talking about? And two, had you refined the polka since you did it in 2015, or was it just kind of more bop around and, you know, do whatever you can?
We were exchanging lots of beauty tips and things, talking makeup and hair, all that good stuff. And what kept going through my mind was, you know, here I am in these big clot hopping heels, and this poor woman, she's barefoot, because she just did her number with Maks barefoot. And all I'm thinking is, oh my God, don't step on our toes, don't step on our toes, don't step on our toes. Because if you break this woman's toes, oh my God, I'm just gonna die. So I tried to, again, we just kind of went with what we did the first time, and I kept getting so conscious about stepping on her feet that we kind of ended it a little bit soon, and I kind of spun her out, we kind of walked about and just kind of laughed and had a little bit of fun. Yep, there we are. I was like, let's just dip her and be done with this, because I don't want to break this woman's feet.
Well, she's certainly glad you did, and I'm sure Maks is glad.
Yes, I'm sure.
And when I was changing for my secret performance when all this was going on, so I didn't learn until after the fact that you were the winner. But when I heard that Mimi Jackson got the Polka with Peta. I'm like, holy cow, what are the odds of that? Unbelievable.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, some final thoughts on your Dancing with Our Stars journey?
Oh, it was an experience like none other. Both years dancing, the other 2 years helping other individuals, and just all the fundraising, all the camaraderie that, you know, meeting those people that I had throughout the different years. If it wasn't for meeting Anna Allen, that first year that I was there, I would have never went back to the stage theater. So much has come from Dancing with Our Stars that I'm very, very blessed and grateful to have been a part of. And there's a small part of me that just keeps wondering, you know, what about a reunion year? So, you know, just if it ever happens, call me.
As I always like to say to people, never say never. So you
Right.
just never know what might be down the yellow brick road.
Absolutely.
Well, Zeb Metzler, Mimi Jackson, great to have both of you on Dancing with Our Stars Diaries.
Thank you so much.